Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I did an IPSY and BOXYCHARM unboxing, and there were a couple products that you guys wanted to see like demoed, and we're going to try a bunch today. We've got a whole bunch of things, and then I have about like 15 other first impression products. We've got some Rare Beauty, some Subtle Beauty, some Jones Road, some Merit. We're going to be doing a full face of first impressions today, and including that BOXYCHARM tutorial from a few of those products you wanted to see. So if that's something you're into, make sure to keep on watching and don't forget to subscribe, because I upload every other day and that'll be the best way to stay up to date and all the fun stuff I'm posting. So if you want to jump into really all of this stuff with me, stay tuned. All right, I have not even prepped the skin yet. So I'm going to start. This is the Surratt Beauty Hanico Facial Mist. I did post about this on Instagram. I've been really liking it. The one thing I don't love is the scent. It has a little bit of like a citronella scent, but it is super soothing on the skin. It feels really nice. So I can get over the scent. It dissipates very quickly, but it just feels super luxe. And I love the way it sits on my skin. I do also need an SPF. So we're going to try the Naked Sundays Collagen Glow 100% Mineral Sunscreen. And this has a slight tint to it as well. So this is going to kind of be like a 2-in-1 SPF and glow primer. So mineral sunscreens are the ones that can have a little bit of a white cast to them. But I do find if that happens under makeup, I don't mind it. If it happens, obviously, without makeup, I don't love when that happens. So let's see if this is one where we can wear it without makeup. You know I love the Bloom Effect sunscreen because that one is a mineral sunscreen but has no white cast. So I can wear that even if I do have no makeup on. All right, so I'm seeing a tiny bit of a white cast, but not much, which just means that this is something I would probably only wear under makeup, not on its own. Because if I put on less, there would be less of a white cast, but then I wouldn't have enough sun protection. And then this came out of a BOXYCHARM in March that I still haven't gotten around to try. This is the Beauty Bakerie, the Butter Hydra Silk Primer. So I'm just going to take this and apply it to any of the areas that I like to smooth, which is also the areas I tend to get oily. Definitely very silky and has a ton of slip to it. I don't think I needed to apply nearly as much as I did, but it definitely did minimize the appearance of my pores, so I do like that. We actually have one more prep skincare type product. This came out of this month's BOXYCHARM. It's the Henriksen Banana Bright Vitamin CC Stick, and we did a quick demo of this in that video. We're going to use this as an under eye corrector today, and that way we can go in for a little like less is more with the concealer. And Artis send over some of their brushes, so I'm going to use the Oval 4 to blend out this and probably my concealer later today. Super soft, doesn't look like it's picking up much or any of the product. I feel like it is giving me decent correction. I will say right here, it picked up a little bit of the sunscreen. So I might have to use this with more like thick products and not like these thin water weight serum-y things. But it definitely brightened up the under eyes well. I think I like it more than when I pat it in with my fingers with the brush. I am just going to take my sponge and just press. This is a damp sponge with nothing on it. And I'm just going to press this over everything just because, you know, we put like 5 steps on. So I want to make sure that if there is like an area where we have a little extra product, we picked it up and just spread it around the face. I want to do concealer. So this is from Merit Beauty. This is not sponsored, but this is done in partnership with them. So I'm going to be trying out, this is the Minimalist Perfection Complexion Stick in the shade Dune. And this is their Flush Balm in the shade Fox. I'm going to use this as a concealer slash, it's a little contoury. I got to pick my shade, and when I told them which shade I wanted, it was one of the limited ones, and it looked lighter online. So I'm going to use this as like a cream bronzer blush highlight, and then we'll add a different blush later. So I'm going to just take the Complexion stick, and it is about a shade lighter than my complexion. That was intentional so that I could use this more like a concealer than a, true foundation. But it is also cool enough that I could easily get away with wearing this as like my all over complexion. And I am going to go right in with the sponge. Definitely has some very natural finish. It looks like skin. I thought that this color was going to be a little bit lighter and more on the brightening side. As I blend it out, I actually think I did a better job shade matching myself than I thought. I thought I had picked like a concealer shade, but this is, definitely able to be worn as like an all over face color. So I think we're going to go in with a concealer on top that's a little lighter to brighten. Now I did a very thin layer and I think it evened everything out beautifully. I will say it's not accentuating any texture. The primer combo underneath definitely smoothed everything over. Very pretty. All right, and I'm going to grab that blush and I'm going to take it where I would normally contour. Like I'm obviously this is a blush tone, but I feel like because of that like warm brown terracotta undertone, this is gonna read like both a blush and a cream bronzer in one. It's definitely more sheer than I thought it would be. When I saw the color, I'll be honest, I was a little intimidated, but it is blending out beautifully on the skin. It's got like a satin finish. I kind of expected it to have a little more of a luminous finish, but you can always add highlighter, so I'm okay with that. I'm gonna add a little more to this side, but I feel like this looks really pretty. And they did send me the viral Thai makeup bag that every first purchase gets, and they do offer free shipping over $40, so definitely worth checking out. Again, this is the shade Fox, and this is so like no makeup that it is shearing out beautifully. And I could see myself reaching for this color very frequently. All right, next I'm actually gonna grab two products from Jones Road Beauty. First, this is the face pencil in the shade 5. This is a little bit lighter than that Merit stick. So I'm gonna take just a very small amount of this and use this to brighten a tiny bit more because that Merit stick was a tiny bit darker than I expected it to be. Notice I'm not going in with a ton. I'm happy with the coverage I had. I really just want to add a tiny bit more brightness, which I also could have gotten from just a slightly lighter color on the Merit stick. I feel like the waxiness of this pencil is not sitting all that well on top of what I already have on. So I think I'm going to have to give the Jones Road stick a second chance on a day where, maybe I have nothing else on instead of, as like a third step to brighten. I feel like it's not layering as well as I would hope. But I am going to also try the Miracle Balm. This is in the shade Miami Beach, and it is this really pretty, again, like that terracotta blush, which I'm really into. There is a fingerprint because I did stick my finger in. It said in the instructions that a lot of people who use this couldn't get any pigment, and then the instructions say you have to break the seal by like pressing into it first, and then you'll get pigment. So I'm going to pick some of that up on the sponge. Just pat that into the cheek. Very sheer. Ooh, it smells delicious. It is very sheer. I'm not getting a ton of pigment, but I'm instantly getting this like super hydrated glow. Definitely going to be a much more luminous finish than the Merit blush. And we're going into spring and summer, which is like, this is the time to layer your blushes. If you like both colors and you want to play around with multiple finishes, why not add more? All right, I'm going to grab a tiny bit of a setting powder. This is just the Lancôme setting powder. I've had this for years, so this is not a first impression, but I am just going to take this and lock everything in. All right, and now that that's set down, this is from the brand Subtl Beauty, and everything is this like screwable stack, where they do like eyeshadow and cream products and foundation, and everything is in here. So this is a stack with just a blush, a bronzer, and a highlight. So I'm going to start with a little bit of the bronzer. I'm going to use that same brush, and I'm just going to add a tiny bit of extra warmth to the skin. I really tend to put on my bronzer before I do blush. However, as you know, I've said a million times, you always want to go in with your powders after you've done all your creams. And even without putting on any more blush, you can already see that this blending in with the blush is going to give me that like finish I'm looking for. But I am going to take the powder blush and just add, ooh, I got a lot on the brush. I am just going to add a little bit over everything to blend it together. This is a very pretty color. I feel like I have a shadow coming in from this side, so it's making everything look darker. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tiny bit more of that translucent powder, and I'm just going to press that over everything just to soften it, because we're looking a little heavy. But I'm also going in with like a super dark smoky eye today, so that could be balanced, if you know what I mean. I'm going to try the highlighter in here, and I'm going to grab that. Surratt sent me over their Artis cheek brush, sorry. So I'm going to take that on the high points and blend it over the cheek. It's a very natural highlight, I'll say that. And you know I like to glow, so I'm probably going to layer another one on top. Yeah, very lit from within, very natural, very pretty. And if I was going for like a true no makeup, I feel like this would be enough on the cheeks. But I'm not going for no makeup. I'm doing a smoky eye. So we're going to go in. Perfect Diary sent me this, and I have now worn it 2 or 3 times. It is like pure glitter sparkle. It is, I mean, I don't even think you can see it. That's how blinding that is. So I'm going to take a little bit of that, and I'm going to go into the brow. See how this is just like this intense, like it's glittery, don't get me wrong. This is not for the faint of heart. This is not like a pigment highlighter. This is a glitter highlighter. So you have to be okay with glitter for this formula. But on a day like today where my eyes are going to be like super sultry, glitter's okay. And before I go into anything else, this is the Skindinavia Makeup Finishing Spray. I've used Skindinavia for years. I actually used them in my first ever YouTube video, but I always use the oil control version. This is the bridal version, which I've only tried once. But Skindinavia makes the best setting sprays. If you didn't know, they actually make the Urban Decay All-Nighter Spray. And if you are interested, you can get 30% off your Skindinavia order with the code BRETT30. It is not a commission code, it is just a discount code. So not sponsored, but, you know, if I've been using a brand on and off for like 7 years, you know I like the product. All right, and that just kind of melts everything together and makes the skin look like skin. All right, moving on to the eyes. Everybody wanted to see me use the Fenty Beauty number 6 Smoky palette. So we're gonna do a smoky eye here. And I'm actually going to grab a liquid shadow for an eye base. Now this is from About Face. This is the Matte Fluid Eye Paint in the color Smell Before Rain. It is a neutral taupe. This is such a pretty color when you are doing a smoky eye. I mean, really for anything, because this blends into, for my skin tone, the perfect cool tone transition. So I'm gonna grab a dense brush I like to use for creams. This one's from Smashbox. And I'm gonna press that and pat that into the lid, and then gently blend it upwards into the crease. When you're doing a smoky eye, you can either go black or brown. I mean, you could do any color smoky eye, but like if you're doing, this palette could be a black smoky eye or a brown smoky eye. If you go with a black smoky eye, that's when it blends from like black to charcoal to light gray. It's super cool tone. In my opinion, it's very old Hollywood. And I do love the way that that color palette works, but I tend to lean towards that type of smoky eye in the winter and fall. And I prefer to go in with a dark brown to light brown to taupe like this in the spring and summer. Although, you know me, most of the time it's just going to be a purple smoky eye. All right, I'm going to switch. This is the Beauty For Real blender brush. It is a similar shape. And I'm going to go into this top middle shade called Chestnut. I'm going to really pick quite a bit of that up while this is still tacky. And then with no additional product, I'm just going to begin patting that upwards. And before I finish blending this side, I'm actually going to do the same thing to the other side. You want to make sure that you're going in with the eyeshadow while the base is still a little tacky. If you wait too long and the base is dry, then you're going to have to put in a lot more layers of eyeshadow to get the same effect. All right, I'm going to take this shade down here, which is called Tan Lines, and I'm going to take that on the tip of the brush. And what I'm going to do, it is a tad bit lighter, is I'm going to press that around the color we just did and on top of it. And then once I feel like I've put quite a bit of that down, I'm just going to gently go in small back and forth motions, blending up into the taupey cream shadow we did. And as you can see from this eye, like it is going to look messy before it looks good. This is definitely one of those trust the process kind of vibes. Next, I'm actually going to mix both of those colors together and just blend that over the lid. We want to make sure that if there are any patches of skin showing through, that we are blending this color on top. And then I'm going to just softly feather those edges a tiny bit. Now my eyes are hooded, so when I look forward, I want to see that color. So I'm just going to tilt my head back and blend up a little bit because I want to make sure that even when my eyes are open and I'm looking straight at you, you can see that gradient. Next, what I'm going to do is remind you that black eyeshadow doesn't always have to look like black eyeshadow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take on that same brush a tiny bit of the black, like next to none, just on the very tip of the brush. And I am going to press that as low as I can on the lid next to my lashes, just to further darken that lid space. Because if I would have packed the black shade in first, this would have been a black smoky eye. But by going in with the brown first and putting a very small amount of the black on top, it is still going to be a brown smoky eye, but we're going to let that black shade just tone the brown and make it a little bit darker. At this point, we're going to throw a brown liner in the waterline. This is the Artis colored pencil from Makeup Forever in the shade Dimensional Dark Brown. And you don't have to be super precise with that because we are going to smoke it out. And I'm going to go into that first brush that we used. And I'm going to go into the first shade, that dark, dark brown. And I'm going to just pat that over the liner. I'm not going to do a ton of blending. We're just going to set the liner down. Then switching to that bronzer brush. I'm going to start at the inner corner. I'm going to look down. I'm going to softly blend the edges until I get to the outer corner. And I'm going to make sure that I connect that lower lash line to the upper lash line. And that's going to give me this winged out effect. And then I'm just going to soften the edges to bring everything together. Going back to that first brush with a little translucent powder, I'm going to stamp this under the eye and blend. And this is just going to, again, offer a softer gradient, just like with the blush earlier. And then I'm going to actually go up to the brow bone, and I'm going to blend up and down. And again, this is just going to soften those edges so that everything is a little more well blended and seamless so that nothing looks muddy. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of shimmer. And I kind of want to go in, I feel like this is the right move just because I like that like taupey smokiness. And I can always go darker on top. So I'm going to grab that on a shader brush. This is also from that Beauty for Real set. And I don't want this to be super metallic, so I'm not going to spray it, but I am going to just take that over the lid. And again, we don't want a ton of this. I'm not looking to make this like a cut crease. But by adding a tiny bit of this shimmer on top of the lid, it's just going to soften and add a little more dimension to the whole eye. All right, moving on to my lashes. I'm going to curl my lashes. I have been using, again, the Surratt Beauty Relevée Lash Curler for years and years and years. They actually just sent me this one, which is a new one of the one I've had for, I think, 6 years now or so. So not a new product, just a new one of it. I have two mascaras to use. One is the Benefit They're Real Magnet Mascara. One is the Jones Road Beauty Mascara. And I have no reason not to do one on each eye because I'm not going anywhere today. I'm just playing with makeup. So, ooh, they're a little shiny. I think I got highlighter everywhere. I'm going to do one on each eye. So I'm going to start with, this is the Benefit one. If you have been on my channel, you know I love the Benefit Roller Lash Mascara. This one, however, I have never tried. So we're going to go nice and slow and not make a mess. All right, starting off after one coat, this is beautiful. Just going to add a little bit more, but I really like that. Like, this is one that I could see myself using and not having to put a strip lash on top of. This one is the Jones Road brush. The brush is a little bit longer, but it has that curve to it, which I have liked in the past. And we're going to take that on this eye. Right away, the wand on the Jones Road Beauty, it is much bigger, so I'm kind of terrified that I'm going to get mascara all over my eyes. But I feel like Smoky Eye Day is the day where that's okay. But it's putting on quite a bit more product that I feel like this eye looks after one coat like the other eye looked after two. This one definitely has quite a bit more volume, but I also feel like my lashes on this side are just better. I feel like I always like my mascara on my left eye. And ignore the tearing that's going on here. It has been a while since I did a liner in the waterline because I've been really liking the no liner look. And my eye is not used to it anymore. Sometimes adding a little bit of mascara just kind of tones down the smoky eye that it feels much less bold. All right, we are on to, lastly, lip. And I have a couple options here. I've got some lipsticks from Valentino that I have been loving but have not used on camera yet. They are beautiful. I also have the Rare Beauty Lip Stain, which everybody's raving about, but it's currently sold out. So I feel like that's not the right move. Also, I have the Fenty Beauty Heat Gloss in the shade Lemon Lava. I've already owned this gloss, just not in this color. So I feel like that's not as exciting. The stain's very warm. I'm going to do the Valentino lip, because why not? So I'm going to go in with a shade that I have not used yet. And I'm going to pick a nude. All right, this is, what is this shade? 10BA. It is a cool toned peachy nude. And I'm going to do this without a liner because bullet lipsticks don't often need a liner, and these ones do not bleed. It's a tiny bit lighter than the nude I've been wearing from Valentino, which I think I have liked, but I think I want to go a little bit darker. So I think I'm going to grab a darker shade and just put a little bit of the darker shade on top. This is 107A, and it is a tiny bit darker. I'm just going to layer that right on top. Yeah, see how much better that is? Yeah, that feels much better. Well, looks better. It feels the same. It's the same lipstick. But that color, I think, feels like a better all over match. And I'm going to take that Fenty gloss and put it right on top. Because when I do like a smoky eye that feels pretty matte, I like to have some glow on the lip. And I actually think I'm really happy with how this looks. I feel like I would probably, with this smoky of an eye and this like glam of a lip, I would probably want a tiny bit more coverage. So I feel like, though I really liked the Merit, I think I would want to use either a little more of it or put it on top of like a tinted moisturizer to build that coverage a little bit more. Because like I think it looks really good right here, but I feel like everywhere else I want a little more coverage. Oh yeah, I feel like that's so much better already. So a tiny bit more coverage or a second layer, and I think that would have been wonderful. I'm still getting very glowy, very lit from within. It still looks stunning on the skin. I like the way the smoky eye came out. I feel like I want a little bit more of something like bold on the lid. So I feel like with this, I would cut the crease and go in with like a shimmer shimmer. But for the sake of this video and the fact that you guys wanted a smoky eye, I'm not going to do that. But all in, I think I really like how everything turned out today. As always, sound off down below with your thoughts. I would love to hear them, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!